even though we sold around 100 units of BYD Song, but it's also my first time to test drive BYD Song Dmi. It's a hybrid version of BYD Song. So BYD Song is from BYD Ocean lines. So here is the steering wheel, and there are many physical buttons. You can adjust many functions here, and on the armrest of the door you can very easily to adjust the side rear mirror. Very convenient. They won't hide many features downside the screen menus. And here is the wireless charging port, and very common to put your cell phone into, and it has a very deep space on the wireless charging port. Here's the gear shift, and this button is lane keeping. You can turn on and turn off, very common. And here's collision warning, auto hold, and here's the button to switch the EV mode or HEV mode. And many audiences on my channel will definitely understand the EV and the HEV. Never mind, I will tell you the detailed difference in other features. Is the parking place, and here is the turn off ESP button. That means it can somehow support you to get into some off-road situation. Here is the driving mode. It supports 3 different modes. The first is Eco, the second is Normal, and the third is Sport. And here is the mist, the air conditioner, and another mode. And here's the button to change the warmth of the sun. And here are 2 air vents. And you can see the whole center stacks very premium. No matter the quality, the touch and feel is quite good. And also the front view of the car is pretty good. And here is the armrest box, very deep, and I will show more on the B-rolls. So let's test drive me the first mode. Okay, now I'm on the normal mode of BYD Song Dmi. From the parameters, it offers 145 kilowatts and 320 Newton torque. In front of us, the red light. I really like the braking system of this car. The braking system combined with the pedal, you will feel that this car is very easy to control. And the second I want to mention is about the steering. Many people will check the parameters, especially their front suspension is microfunctioning suspension. Maybe 5 years ago, BYD's model is not that good. While we are sitting on a BYD, we will feel dizzy. So even though the front suspension is microfunctioning suspension, we still offer a good performance while you are steering. I turn right very sharply. I feel the whole car is very supportive for my body, and I didn't feel any dizzy feeling through the car. That's quite a surprise for me. So now I will switch to Eco mode. Okay, while I switch to the Eco mode, I can feel the power of the energy reservoir will a little bit increase, but still it's more like a feeling through my feet. That means it won't drag your whole body when you lose your feet upon with the pedal. The car won't drag like most electric cars like that. It won't stuck or stop immediately like other brands. So it will give you a very good feeling. Okay, let's go straight for more routes because our test driving routes is limited. How about the suspension? I feel the whole car is very stable, and even though the situation our test driving routes is not that good. For real, I do not feel many vibrations through the ground because SUV has a higher seating position than sedan. A sedan can very easy to adjust into a very good driving feeling, but for a SUV, especially for an electric vehicle, because the battery is very heavy, so it's kind of hard to adjust an electric SUV with a very good performance in suspension. If I have a score like 100, I can give 90 to BYD Song Dmi. That's quite impressive about this car, and I'm very surprised of the improvement of BYD company, because for most people's impressions, BYD was a company, only the online taxis or kind of Didi or taxi cars. So many people in China who thought that BYD only sell very cheap car models, but nowadays they refresh many new models from their car company, and also they divided their cars, their products into two product lines, and also they release Yang, which is a very expensive and luxury brand. So BYD really do a great job. Now I will test about the sporty mode. I can honestly to tell everyone, even though this car maybe only left 10% of electricity, the sporty mode still offer a very strong feeling of acceleration. That's quite incredible, because BYD set the technology like DMI. DMI is a kind of PHEV technology. Unlike Li Auto or Voya, DMI will push the engine to drive the car forward, and also within the motor. So even though the electricity is low, but still the engine will come to drive the car forward. So you won't feel quite differences from the car within the electricity or not. But I didn't mean that Li Auto or Voya have very bad performance while the electricity is low. But still, especially the technology in DMI, it does a very good performance, especially the electricity is low. And also I really like the feeling of the braking, because I don't really like the feeling while I want to decrease the speed, and I do not feel any feeling while I decrease, because that means it won't note your head, like it won't note your head or your body forward and backward. So it gives you a very stable ability. And I don't know, I'm not sure whether they set a FSD suspension on the front. If they set, that has a better performance of the front suspension. And also remember, this car rear suspension is now torsion beam, it's multi-links. That means even though from the parameters the front suspension is a little bit weak compared with the BYD's competitors, but the rear suspension is good and sporty and supported enough as a city and family SUV. Hello everyone, after a very short period of test driving BYD Song DMI, I think all of my channel's audiences will feel very curious about what's the differences about BYD Song DMI. The first differences of BYD Song 2023 is the headlights. There is a small blue headlights within the daytime running lights and normal headlights. And the second difference is they keep many different chrome lines combined with the plastic material on the interior grille will let the car look more sporty and elegant. And downside the interior grille is the air inlet will somehow improve the performance of the down pressure, but they have interior grille, so never mind it of the down pressure. And still BYD has a very good technology. You can see how short of the car head, and maybe you will feel a little bit strange about this topic because this car is a hybrid car. It has engine and gearbox and also with the motor, so they can shorten the length of the car head. That means it will leave plenty of space of the interior. So from the parameters is 4,705 millimeters long, 1,890 millimeters width, and 1,680 millimeters height. Is in Chinese standard is a kind of a middle large SUV. And so now let us see the alloys, and in the center that's the name of this car. That means this is a Song. But remember, now BYD has successfully changed their product line into different lines. One is dynasty lines, another is ocean lines. So BYD Song DMY or BYD Song E is from ocean lines. And just go to the side, we can see it's very fluid and dynamic. Many curves on the side doors, and the paint quality is quite good. And many chrome color decoration panel on the door. And the B pillar are two panel paint black color. And here the skirt, and it's plastic chrome on the skirt. It's quite cool. And for this car, I like the rear design. That means the C pillar. It leaves a small window beside the rear space. Actually, it won't offer you the seat space, but while you are sitting on the rear, this small window will give you a better performance of the lights. That means you will feel the whole car is full of lights. And just go to the rear. I really like the design languages of the rear. Here will be more flat and less angle. And a lot of consumers, especially in China, they always think about that BYD always design too much within their products. So they change, actually indeed, especially in their 2023 products, they changed the whole design languages, and that's the real lights very cool. They all coordinated as a unified, and that's the logo build your dream. I have checked other comments from overseas channel. Some foreign consumers, they don't like slogan, will make them feel very stupid. I don't know. And here is the physical button to turn on the trunk space. So let's see the trunk space. Angle is very wide, and even though this car is not that big, but just if you just don't fold down the rear seat, the trunk space quite enough. And here is the curtain on the rear. You can put inside here to cover your luggage. And downside is also a second back tire, and some charging lens, and some daily equipment downside the trunk. And here two lights. I have to give some positive opinions about the lights. The lights is very good enough. Even though you park the car in a parking lot, it will offer you a clear sight on the rear. So maybe you want to know how to fold down the rear seat. And usually many SUV would set a place on here and there to fold down the rear chairs. But BYD Song, they fold down manual slide on the downside on the chair. So when you catch it, it will fold down automatically. You will see how big the rear space it is. And here is another place. Woo, very fast. So now let me introduce the rear space of BYD Song DMI. I can honestly say, regarding of this size, the rear space is good enough, but not as a surprise for me. And they redesigned the side of the front chair. So when you sit on the rear, you will think this car will be more sporty, and it can give you enough leg room and headroom. Because I'm a little bit tall, right? I think while I'm sitting on the rear on BYD Song DMI, I have enough headroom, leg room, and also the width is widely enough. And that's the typical color of the rear. And there's the storage bag behind the driver's seat and co-pilot seats. And also here is the air conditioner vent, and surrounding the air conditioner vent is plastic. The material is plastic, and two USB charging ports and a small storage. And maybe some audiences of my channel will say, okay, why does this car have some plastic material? Just remember, go back for the price. Even though this flagship version, it only sells 1,700,000 Chinese yuan. It's a very affordable and economy model. And go back to the size. It's a middle large size SUV. So if you compare the material with Zeekr X, it's not fair because this car is bigger, the side of the door are not that good, but you can still touch it. It's very solid, much more better than most cars in China. And the top are fabric, they are not anti-fur, but never mind. And I really like they choose an electric cover on the sunroof, so you can adjust through the voice control or you can touch the physical buttons on the front to cover the whole sunlight on the top. So the panoramic canopy can be totally covered with the electric cover, so you won't feel very hot in summer. And here also has some storage piece on the side door. Armrest on the rear is quite good, and also basic function is enough to satisfy you. You know, many car companies always the big research of BYD company. Why does this company can sell such amounts of units? The reason is they always keep focusing on the important parts, like they really did good enough in fuel consumption for the hybrid version. As the same price model, they give you bigger space and good enough of braking or a steering system. That's quite fair because this car is big, it's hard, just like I mentioned in my driving part. It's very hard for such size SUV to adjust in very good in steering. So what do you think of this car? Just leave a comment. If you like my video, remember to subscribe my video. Okay, here's BYD Song Plus-Dmi.